1 year since the riot there when hundreds of former President Trump's supporters stormed the building, the Capitol building, in an attempt to stop lawmakers from certifying the presidential election.
We'll never forget that day. 7 News was there bringing you live coverage as the event unfolded. Well, now we are reflecting on what happened that day and looking ahead to how we're moving forward. Of course, we'll have live team coverage all day long.
7 News' John Gonzalez is live at the Capitol this morning, helping us kick off our coverage. He's taking a look at some of the changes the Capitol Police Department has made over the last year, including the addition of a new police chief. Good morning to you, John.
That's right, and we are hearing from Chief Thomas Manger this morning, talking about all of the changes physically right off the bat here in front of the U.S. Capitol. A year later, we are not seeing all of the military presence. We're not seeing the large fencing that was around for the inauguration, but we are seeing extra police, added police presence here. And in a security report just released to Congress by U.S. Capitol Police, it states that on January 6th, 2021, officers displayed resilience, fortitude, and unimaginable bravery while confronted with a violent mob and being vastly outnumbered. However, the report goes on to say that the incident exposed critical deficiencies. The Capitol Police Board and the department have put in place nearly 100 safety and security recommendations, including state-of-the-art police simulator training, new riot gear, increased staffing, and increased command and control capabilities.
When you look at what went wrong on the 6th, we didn't have enough people. There were training issues, equipment issues. There were things that with regard to intelligence, that we probably should have addressed, but we didn't.
Now, marking the 1-year anniversary, Attorney General Merrick Garland says he vows to have all riot perpetrators accountable, to have them all accountable. More than 700 have already been arrested. Reporting live on Capitol Hill, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
Okay, John, thanks. And yes, once again, as John just mentioned, over the past year, more than 700 people have already been arrested and about 70 have been sentenced. Hundreds more of offenders are still at large right now. The Justice Department has issued thousands of search warrants and subpoenas, making the investigation the largest in history.
Thursday will mark 1 year since the riot at the U.S. Capitol, and tonight we're now hearing from the newest chief of Capitol Police.
He tells us what January 6th means to him and how he is working to ensure that a dark day like that never happens again. Carl Willis has the story.
Watching the insurrection on TV from his basement office, Thomas Manger, recently retired, suddenly wished he wasn't.
It was surreal, and when I watched it and I saw these officers being assaulted, had a very emotional response to that, and again, it just made me feel like I want to be back there. I want to be back in the game. I want to do something to help.
Since becoming the chief of U.S. Capitol Police last July, Manger says it's been his mission to restore morale, build up the ranks, and quicken the force's response after the failures of January 6th.
When you look at what went wrong on the 6th, we didn't have enough people. There were training issues, equipment issues. There were things that with regard to intelligence, that we probably should have addressed, but we didn't. Those issues have been addressed.
But just Monday, the Capitol Police Union issued a statement suggesting they aren't so sure, pointing to a lack of manpower, an increasing number of threats, and not enough of the USCP Inspector General's recommended changes being implemented.
I think there's still an acknowledgement that that was a very traumatic day. It was a day that the department let those officers down, and so the department has to restore confidence with the officers that something like the 6th would never happen again.
The chief says the force has been more proactive, at times erring on the side of over-responding. He says that could be seen during September's Justice for J6 rally. Ultimately, the chief hopes his work and what's happening in courts right now sends a message.
I think the fact that we've made 600 or plus arrests, I think the fact that these people are now being found guilty, that sends the message that this is not going to be tolerated.
It was arguably one of our darkest days. When I saw my co-workers, brave men and women on those front lines, I felt honored and I felt blessed to be a member of the United States Capitol Police. And now I'm even more honored to say that I'm helping to bring in the next generation of Capitol Police officers to come and help join us. So we have a minimum set of requirements. You have to meet certain age requirements, education requirements, and they can all be found on our vacancy announcement and on our career site. But meeting our minimum requirements, it's just not enough. We're looking for applicants who have high levels, honesty, integrity, dedication to public service. When you think about the protection of Congress, we have all of the resources that any other department in the country have. We have K-9s, probably one of the largest K-9 divisions in the country. We have SWAT team, we have bomb squad. We have what's called our dignitary protection. Those are plainclothes units, and what they do is they travel around the country to provide personal protection to our leadership. So Speaker Pelosi, she'll have a detail 24/7, which is made up of Capitol Police officers. You're serving your country, you're serving your government, you're serving the congressional community. So it's important that we bring in individuals who understand the weight of that mission and who are ready to serve.
Remember the insurrection at the Capitol 1 year later. Child psychologists have a warning for parents. Seeing those violent images on our TVs and our phones once again could be harmful to children. Kelly Lynn is here this morning with advice from an expert to help parents recognize the warning signs. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Robert. Many of us have struggled with our own mental health during the pandemic, and that includes children. Seeing those violent scenes at the Capitol can be traumatic for kids who are already stressed. Mask mandates, vaccine concerns, and virtual learning have been sources of stress for adults and kids.
Kids are very vulnerable because they are in a very sensitive time period of development.
Psychologist Dr. Cindy Graham of Brighter Hope Wellness says the anniversary of the January 6th attack on the Capitol could compound the stress children already feel.
It's possible that after seeing it again, and then certainly amidst the stress of everything that's happening right now with this next wave, this wave of COVID, that we just have what could be a perfect storm.
Which is why Dr. Graham recommends parents shield children under 8 years old from the violent images at the Capitol. She says signs of stress in kids include changes in behavior, difficulty at school, anxiety in social settings, withdrawal, and nightmares.
It's important to have these conversations with them, but the images, those are not necessarily things that they need to see.
And parents of older children should talk and listen to their kids in a non-judgmental way. Eating and sleeping well, connecting with friends, and getting plenty of exercise are all things that can help improve a child's mental health.
Important stuff. Kelly Lynn, thank you for that. And if you are a parent who recognizes signs of stress or trauma in your child that are not going away, seek help from a professional at your child's school or try to secure an appointment with a psychologist.